Hey everyone, today I'll show you how to knit a mini scarf in diagonal rib stitch. I combined two different colors in one project this time. This is an advanced level tutorial. I'll only show the techniques. My scarf's length is 124 centimeters, width is 11.5 centimeters. I used 3.5 millimeter needles and 56 grams of sport weight yarn. One ball is 50 grams, 160 meters. The pattern based on 2 by 2 rib. There will be a diagram in the video. I divided the pattern into 8-row sections to make it easy to follow. Rows 1, 3, 5, and 7 are right side, 2, 4, 6, and 8 are wrong side rows. Starting with 6 stitches. For the first 3 rows, knit the first 3 and slip the last 3 stitches with yarn in front. These are I-cord stitches and will be worked the same way on all rows of pattern, except the increase and decrease rows. I'm increasing on row 4, knit 2 stitches. Knit front and back the 3rd stitch, this is an increase. And slip the last 3. The first 4 rows are base rows, I don't count them. The main pattern starts from here. Work the I-cord the same way. Knit the middle stitch on the right side and purl on the wrong side for 4 rows. And increase again on the 3rd stitch of the 4th row in the same way. Increases will be made every 4 rows, meaning on the 4th and 8th rows. Work the I-cord the same way. Now there are 2 stitches in the middle. Purl them on row 5 and knit on row 6. On rows 7 and 8, purl the first of these middle stitches and knit the next. And increase again on the 3rd stitch of the 8th row in the same way. Remember, the I-cord stitches don't change, so I'm not mentioning them. Starting the next 8 rows. Now there are 3 stitches in the middle. Knit the first 2 stitches and purl the next. In the first rows, the middle stitches will always start with 2 knit stitches. On wrong side rows, meaning 2, 4, 6, and 8, just knit the knit stitches and purl the purl stitches. On row 3, knit the first stitch and purl the next 2. This row is like shifting the first row to the right by 1 stitch. Please note that the rib pattern is worked only on the stitches between the I-cords. The I-cord stitches remain the same. And increase again on the 3rd stitch of the 4th row in the same way. Now there are 4 stitches in the middle. Purl 2 stitches and knit the next 2. This row is like shifting the 3rd row to the right by 1 stitch. On row 7, purl the first, knit the next 2, and purl the last stitch. This row is like shifting the 5th row to the right by 1 stitch. And increase again on the 3rd stitch of the 8th row in the same way. Starting the next 8 rows. Repeat the previous 8 rows, and the increased stitches will follow the 2x2 rib pattern. This row is like shifting the 1st row to the right by 1 stitch. This row is like shifting the 3rd row to the right by 1 stitch. This row is like shifting the 5th row to the right by 1 stitch. And increase again on the 3rd stitch of the 8th row in the same way. As you can see, 2x2 rib stitches shift 1 stitch to the right on every right side rows, and the pattern repeats every 8 rows. Increases will be made on every 4th and 8th row, and every increased stitch will be like an extension of the 2x2 rib. For the middle stitches, every first rows start with 2 knit stitches and the rib pattern continues. Since the first row shifts 1 stitch to the right on every 3rd row, it is as if the first stitch disappears and the stitches following it take its place. And since the 5th row is like the shifting of the 3rd, the first stitch disappears and the other stitches take its place, and every 5th row starts with 2 purl stitches. And since the 7th row is like the shifting of the 5th, the first stitch disappears and the other stitches take its place again. Here is the stitch diagram. The pattern will follow it. The empty boxes are knit stitches on the right side and purl stitches on the wrong side. The dots are purl stitches on the right side and knit stitches on the wrong side. When the width reached 11.5 centimeters, I stopped increasing. The length is 25 centimeters and total of 31 stitches on the needle. Then I repeated the 8 rows without increases for 37 centimeters. The last row is 8th row. Then I'll change the yarn as shown and repeat the 8 rows for 37 centimeters. Because I tied the yarn tightly, one of these stitches is not visible, and it looks as if one stitch is missing. But it's here. After knitting for 37 centimeters, I'll start decreasing. I've worked 7 of the last 8 rows, and I'll make a decrease on the 8th row. Knit the first 2 stitches. Slip the 3rd stitch knitwise, knit or purl the next stitch, whichever comes first. Then pass the slipped stitch over the stitch and continue the pattern in the same way. This time, instead of increase, there will be a decrease on every 4th and 8th row. You will continue the pattern in the same way to the last decrease. After the last decrease, there will be 6 stitches left on the needle. Work the I-cord stitches for 3 rows just like at the beginning. Then we will work the cast off. When starting, there were knit stitches on the right side at the tip. When finishing, because the pattern decreased, there were purl stitches at the tip. Thank you for watching. I'd love to see your finished scarves, so please tag me on Instagram when you're done.